What's going on, everyone? I'm Encore. This is Tomorrow Never Comes, and today's video is about a new perspective about Metaverse and dispelling some of my old thought patterns around what it would take for people to adopt the Metaverse more and why they're not doing it. So I want to get into this because this was kind of a light bulb moment for me. Speaking of light bulb, let me just lower this down a little bit. All right, a little bit better there. Okay, so we're going to get into this article here that was written on Cointelegraph. And it said Metaverse graphics aim for community and accessibility, not realism. So here's what's interesting just from this headline alone. This is why it caught my eye. As I've always been the mind that, look, I've played in the Sandbox, I've seen Decentraland and a bunch of other different metaverse platforms, and I could never immerse myself in them because I hated the graphics. I hated the gameplay, I hated the graphics, and in my mind, I think recently I even just said this, that why did we spend all of this time getting used to and building up graphics in Web 2.0 only to have Web 3.0 graphics that took me back to being in the 80s and the 90s. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And this is actually a very fresh perspective that's changed everything for me here. Is that the Metaverse graphics, they're actually built more for community and accessibility than they are for the graphics aspect of it. So I want to get some more detail in this article. Really fabulous things in here. But we're going to start from here. And it says, first of all, that they're done on purpose. Right? And I think, at least for me, sometimes there's a mental block of, are they not getting these graphics to the level that I would expect because they can't? And when this flips it on its head, that says, no, they can, but they actually choose not to. And so here it says, although the mainstream has been quick to criticize graphics associated with various metaverses, actually, is a metaverse eye? Maybe. But anyways, industry experts note that image quality is intentional. That's interesting. The spokesperson told Cointelegraph that the content design and aesthetic choices that other metaverses make are usually stylistic. So they actually intentionally set to make certain graphics look a certain way based on ease of use and accessibility. Okay. Interesting. And it says here, for instance, the blocky appearance of some metaverse builds upon the modeling techniques first seen in Minecraft. I could never, ever play Minecraft. It just never appealed to me. It was such low grade graphics. Hated the user experience. And so anything that resembled that was kind of just put me off entirely, which is what Sandbox kind of is. And so this was a deliberate choice to not appear realistic. That is so interesting. To me, graphics has always been about progressing to the point where you feel like it's real life. And they're actually saying, no, we actually want it to look not realistic at all. And we want to make it clear. And they did a good job in Minecraft of making it clear, and they do a good job in Sandbox of making it clear that it's nowhere near being realistic. And who else to weigh on this but, one of the heaviest hitters in this entire space, Yat Siu, co-founder and chairman of Animoca brands. He actually says that the graphical representations depend on the brand and the imagery of the metaverse in question. And he goes on to mention a couple of metaverses. He says, hey, look, these two, Phantom Galaxies and Life Beyond, have really intense high-end tech and high-end graphics where it actually seems like it is real life. And so each metaverse, each entity purposely has a certain style to their metaverse platform, and they intentionally choose it. So if you look in this image here, this is Second Life images. I mean, those are realistic images. That's what I would assume every platform would want to do, but that's not the case, right? So it says, look, but while realistic images may appeal to certain metaverse communities, other platforms are taking different approaches. So I mentioned the Sandbox, one of the most well-known metaverse platforms out there, if not the most well-known. and is dubbed as one of the most popular blockchain-based metaverses. And it intentionally has boxy graphics, similar to what Minecraft does. So Sebasiten Borget, who's a co-founder and the chief operating officer of the Sandbox, he says that they actually picked these building blocks due to ease of use. So he goes on to say voxels, that's news to me. Instead of pixels, these are called voxels, are like digital Legos that require no user manual. That's very interesting because you're looking at it from a perspective of people who are building in it, not just who are in the metaverse kind of moving around, but actual creators of the space itself. Hundreds of millions of people already know how to work with voxel graphics thanks to Minecraft, and this opens the Sandbox to a massive community worldwide. I mean, that's just brilliant to me. One, obviously it's easy to use, but two, I should say that if there's already a large community that's used to those types of graphics and is willingly engaged and would like to see more, it only makes sense to mimic or complement that platform with your own graphics that are similar. So very interesting, very interesting. And then Yat Siu noted again that voxelized images in the Sandbox are not a visual limitation, as it is a style that allows for communal design. So it's really, so what he's saying is that the low end graphics, which I took them as low end, they're actually not a limit. It's not a limitation. It's actually something that allows a community to exist and create from, because it's so easy to use and it's just intuitive once you're in it, which is interesting. Maybe I'll give it a chance. But he's like, people don't consider Lego as lo-fi. 8-bit style or retro pixel art is another example of something that is trendy and fashionable because of what it represents. So that's funny, right? When you look at a Lego, when I look at a Lego, I don't think of it as a low-end graphic either. Even when they have those Lego movies and all that, I don't. And so funny how you can just take that concept, and those who are used to it don't even consider it low-end graphics, whereas someone like me who's not really in it would be like, I'm not playing this because it looks like it's 1980s. Interesting. So he goes, Sebasiten Borget, the co-founder of Sandbox, goes on to say that graphics enable accessibility for creators of all ages and backgrounds, which is critical since he believes the metaverse will largely consist of user-generated content moving forward. So there's another interesting point. When I look at the metaverse, and most people around me do, we tend to look with obviously our own perspective, but the perspective of an older individual who's seasoned at least some seasoning or experience with graphics, and it's been part of this progression in terms of graphics. But we have to remember, there may be 7-8-year-olds. Obviously, they're used to playing in platforms like Roblox or Minecraft that are coming up, and they don't consider these low graphics. They like the community aspect of it more than the visualized graphics part of it. So it's a big appeal to them. And so if you can have things that are Lego based where people don't look at them as lo-fi, you can actually attract a wide array of demographics versus a very specific type of gamer. And they're actually encouraging others to build in there as opposed to just kind of walk through it like a visitor or a tourist. So very interesting perspective there. And a whole bunch of other things that are happening. We won't go through all of this stuff here, but I wanted to highlight here that the need for metaverse accessibility on devices other than gaming PCs is increasing. And so he focused on bringing the metaverse to both web and mobile, yet he noted that the compute constraints have been problematic. Now here's another thing I never thought about. Maybe you don't consider them lo-fi graphics, but they are lo-fi, right? They're not high-end detail. And what we have to remember is that quite a bit of this world doesn't even have access to the internet. And if they do, what devices are they carrying? What's the computing speed of the phones that they have? They don't have PCs at home. So what are they using to, what's in their pocket? Maybe they don't have the newest iPhone, the newest Samsung. What level of gameplay is available for those individuals? So if you have a high-end game, they're not going to be able to play it. The speeds are too slow. The computing power is not fast enough. It just wouldn't work. But if you have something kind of like what this image here, now you have more of the world population who can engage in this type of gameplay. So I thought that was also very interesting. And then the article goes on to say that all things considered, metaverse development currently seems to be focused more on community building rather than imagery. We've already highlighted that before. It's like, I believe we need to move past the expectation of a photorealistic metahuman metaverse and look at what drives human interaction, remarked Borget. And in order to do so, Borget explained that metaverse should focus on ease of use. So interesting, right? I kind of look at the metaverse as a game. It's a gaming platform. I have to achieve something. The graphics should be up to par. But if you're going to jump in the metaverse and it's all about human interaction and community building, yeah, maybe I don't care so much about the graphics. I care about more the interaction. How does that work? How seamless can I interact with other people and maintain those relationships as I move through the metaverse? That's much more important than the visual graphics aspect of it. So interesting. But he goes on to say that if we build a world that requires high-end technology and skills to build and run, we'll be leaving out most of the world's population. However, if we instead focus on making creation and play highly accessible and engaging, we can make the metaverse a new, more level playing field. So this goes back to what I was mentioning before about most of the world's population don't have the devices required for high-end play. They just don't. And not only that, if we look at those who want to create in the metaverse, they also don't have access to high-end technology in order to create high-end gameplay. So if we want more inclusivity, if we want wider mass adoption, then there's got to be a level where everyone can kind of jump in at. And so this really changed my perception. And maybe I'll give Sandbox another try, maybe Decentraland a try. It was something that I kept looking at the entire platform as, we need graphics. This is a game. And it's much more than that. And if we need to lower the graphics to raise the bar in terms of human interaction and bring the rest of the world on, I mean, that's a no-brainer. So now I have a much different perspective about metaverses, each metaverse. Now, I do think going forward, interoperability is going to be key. So meaning, can one metaverse, whatever you do in one metaverse, can you transition that to the next one? So if you build up a character or skins, as they call them, or NFTs in one metaverse, can they be translated into the next metaverse? Can you take them with you? So that's key. I do think the user experience still needs to be better. All right, things are not as intuitive, at least for my age group. So maybe for the younger age group it is. So I think there's still more of that. But in terms of just graphics alone, yeah, I would say my perception has changed of the metaverse. So hopefully you guys found some value in this. Let me know in the comment sections below what your impression was of the metaverse, and has it changed now? I would love to hear it. Hit the like button if this video brought you any value at all. Subscribe for more videos just like this. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great night.